Killzone 3 is a 2011 first-person shooter video game for the PlayStation 3, developed by Guerrilla Games and published by Sony Computer Entertainment. It is the fourth installment in the Killzone series, the first game in the series to be presented in stereoscopic 3D, and the first to include motion controls using the PlayStation Move. It was released worldwide in February 2011. Plot: Viserys, the leader of the Helghast, is dead, but the war is far from over. Helghast forces have mounted a devastating counterattack, prompting the ISA to smoke out evacuation of planet Helgen. As new Helghast battalions appear, armed with more powerful weapons, ISA forces find themselves outmanned, outgunned and surrounded. Players of Killzone 3 will need to learn more about their enemy and use new tools to continue the fight. Story. The game begins in medias res from the point of view of two Helghast soldiers who have arrived at Stahl Arms Corporation, Joran Stahl's weapons factory. The two are taken to a room where the captured Jason Narville's execution is about to be broadcast by Stahl across Helgen. As the two soldiers are about to execute Narville, they reveal themselves as Tomasev Sevchenko and Rico Velasquez, and the scene cuts back 6 months earlier, immediately following the events of Killzone 2. Sev and Rico regroup with Captain Jason Narville outside Skola Viserys' palace and they begin their evacuation towards the remaining ISA ships on Helgen. They face heavy resistance from organized Helgen troops led by Admiral Orlok, whose battle plan is well received by most of the Senate except for Joran Stahl, the chairman of Stahl Arms, the largest weapons manufacturer on Helgen. From the outset, the animosity between the two parties is made apparent. Rico receives a transmission from Jammer and separates from the group to rescue her squad who have encountered heavy resistance. Due to a poorly engineered evacuation, a few ISA ships are unable to depart, separating Rico from Sev and the rest of the ISA forces, and leaving all of them marooned on Helgen. Jumping 6 months forward, the Helghast Senate expresses their disappointment with Orlok's search for the remaining ISA forces, since he had initially promised that they would be dead within the hour. One of the senators suggests relieving Orlok and replacing him with Stahl, but is refused. As a result, Stahl refuses to deliver his weapon prototype and other resources to the military as long as Orlok is in charge, citing the admiral as incompetent. Stahl organizes his private army to hunt down the ISA who are hiding in a Helghast jungle. Narville dispatches Sev along with a soldier named Kowalski to retrieve a satellite uplink in order to contact the Vectan government. Upon doing so, Earth Command informs Sev and Narville that the ISA has agreed to a ceasefire and that they are to surrender so their release can be negotiated. The Helghast soon track the ISA in the jungle, ending with their capture and the death of Kowalski after a brutal battle. Rico and his men, including Jammer, who have been separated from the main group for 6 months, are able to rescue Sev, who convinces them to save Narville and the rest of the captured ISA forces. They track them to Stahl's base and discover a horrifying new weapon using irradiated petrozite, a compound that causes its victims to explode. Disguised as Narville's executioners, Sev and Rico rescue Narville in addition to freeing some of their men who were held as prisoners of war and used as test subjects for Stahl's new weapons. On their way out, Rico and Sev discover Stahl's plan to destroy Earth, the most powerful military force and the leading imperial force which colonized all the other worlds. Their downfall would allow the Helghast to dominate and reclaim all the other colonies. Embarrassed by Stahl's failure to execute Narville, the Senate chooses to vote Orlok as Helgen's new Autarch and he orders Stahl to transfer his new weapons to the Helghast military. Stahl is made to confront Orlok at the space station where he plans to assassinate Stahl. After a grueling ground battle with the Helghast forces, remaining ISA soldiers arrive at the orbital elevator and use it to ride up to the space station. On the station, Stahl turns on Orlok, destroying his fleet and murdering him after a brief duel, and makes preparations to bombard Earth. The remaining ISA forces hijack 2 fighters and Sev manages to shoot down Stahl's cruiser. Unwilling to let Stahl escape the cruiser, he drops a nuke on the falling cruiser, detonating the petrozite weapons it was carrying above Helgen's atmosphere. the Petrosite engulfs the entire planet and wipes out almost everything on its surface. Jammer then reports that Helgen has gone dark, with not a single communication being heard. Sev contemplates on the many lives on the planet obliterated by the Petrosite. In a mid-credits scene, two Helghast soldiers are searching through some ruins when they come across an escape pod. Though the occupant's identity is not revealed, both soldiers bow and say, "Welcome home, sir," implying that Stahl survived and managed to escape his cruiser before it was destroyed. Characters Andrew Boyne as Sergeant Thomas Sevchenko. The main protagonist, Sev, along with Rico and Narville, lead the resistance against the Helgens. Charles Everett as Sergeant Ricardo Rico Velasquez. Rico, along with Sev and Narville, helps lead the resistance against the Helgens and forms his own squad with Jammer, the Raiders, while stranded for 6 months on Helgen after being separated from Sev and the other ISA forces. James Reamer as Captain Jason Narville, captain of the stranded ISA forces on Helgen. Brian Cox as Skola Viziri, the dead autarch of Helgen. Though absent in the game, he is seen and speaks during the intro in a scene which occurred before the nuclear explosion during Killzone 2. Ray Winstone as Admiral Orlok. One of the two main antagonists, Orlok is the hot-tempered and strict commander-in-chief of the Helgen military and soon becomes its autarch. Malcolm McDowell as Joran Brimf. One of the two main antagonists, Stahl is the CEO of Stahl Arms, a weapons company. He seeks to become Helgen's new autarch as he believes Orlok is a nothing more than a miserable excuse of an officer. He also holds little respect for the Helgen military as he looks at the soldiers as fat, lazy, and careless oafs among other qualities. Lamia Good as Jammer, a resourceful female ISA soldier. Mac Brand as Kowalski, an ISA soldier who helps Sev through the Katsan jungle. Mark Engelhardt as Hooper, a rookie ISA soldier who helps him take down Stahl's cruiser before the nuke is dropped on it. Rob Brownstein as Bradshaw. Gameplay. The gameplay strongly resembles that of Killzone 2 albeit with several tweaks and changes. Similar to the first Killzone, the game takes place in various harsh environments such as Arctic landscapes, a lethal alien jungle, nuclear wastelands as well as space battles rather than only the cityscape environments which were present in Killzone 2. Another notable new feature is the ability to use jetpacks in the game, which were also used in Killzone Liberation. The game also features a revamped close combat melee system which includes new brutal melee attacks as well as the ability to string together multiple attacks in a combo. A new weapon called the WASP has also been added, which acts as a multi-firing rocket launcher firing in spiral formation. Multiplayer Online multiplayer of Killzone 3 supports 3 different game modes: Guerrilla Warfare, Warzone, and Operations. Guerrilla Warfare is a classic team deathmatch style game that supports up to 16 players per map for each map that supports this mode. Warzone, returning from Killzone 2's multiplayer, is an objective-based game that supports up to 24 players per map for each map that supports this mode. What sets Warzone apart from other games in the genre is the way that each objective is used. Rather than having each game type be its own separate mode, the objectives cycle randomly during the course of gameplay without ever interrupting the match. Each game type comes up with a timer, and when the timer ends or the objective is completed the winning team is awarded that round, and the match continues until all 7 rounds have been completed. Each Warzone match is decided in a best-of-7 manner, and since players continue to play and fight for control of strategic points on the map, there is a substantial continuous metagame of territory control present throughout every match. This is exemplified further by the addition of tactical spawn areas in Killzone 3 where certain spawn locations need to be fought over and are better for some of the objectives than they are for others, so a team's tacticians must decide which ones are needed for the current objective, as well as weighing the possibility of what future objectives may come up and the risk involved with capturing and maintaining them. Operations is a new game mode that features cinematic scenes and supports up to 16 players per map for each map that supports this mode. In Operations, the ISA and the Helghast battle for control of specific objectives. the ISA on the offensive and the Helghast on defense. The best players are featured throughout the match in cutscenes depicting their successes. Killzone 3 also supports offline split-screen cooperation for 2 players, which allows 2 players using the same console to play the campaign of Killzone 3 offline. This is a feature not present in Killzone 2. This is the only mode that supports offline split-screen multiplayer in Killzone 3. There is also an offline multiplayer mode named Bot Zone in which players can play against computer bots. There are a total of 8 multiplayer maps on the disc, including Corinth Highway, Pyrrhus Crater, Bilgask Boulevard, Turbine Concourse SE6, Frozen Dam, Ekmir Snowdrift, MAWLR Graveyard, and Katsan Jungle. Guerrilla Warfare mode is supported on the Pyrrhus Crater, Bilgask Boulevard, Frozen Dam, Ekmir Snowdrift, and Katsan Jungle maps. Warzone mode is supported on all maps except the Katsan Jungle map. Operations mode is supported on the Frozen Dam, Ekmir Snowdrift, and MAWLR Graveyard maps. A new feature to Killzone multiplayer for Killzone 3 is the ability to use vehicle-like mechanisms, the jetpacks and exos. The jetpacks are exclusive to the Turbine Concourse SE6 map while the exos, as well as the WASP rocket launcher created by the engineer, are only available on the Corinth Highway map. Another new feature is the ability to use mortar beacons, which can be used if a tactician captures a tactical spawn point from which the mortar beacons are found. Mortar beacons are featured on the Corinth Highway, Pyrrhus Crater, Bilgask Boulevard, Frozen Dam, and MAWLR Graveyard maps. Miniguns can be created by the engineer on the Pyrrhus Crater, Bilgask Boulevard, and Turbine Concourse SE6 maps. A snowstorm is featured on the Ekmir Snowdrift map and a crusher is featured in the MAWLR Graveyard. There are a total of 5 classes for players to choose from: Marksman, Engineer, Field Medic, Tactician, and Infiltrator. Each class has his own special abilities and weapons, such as disguise for the Infiltrator or cloaking for the Marksman. Unlike Killzone 2, players may choose any class from the start, however, they must earn unlock points to upgrade the abilities and to gain more weapons for each class. Each class's abilities can be upgraded twice, and they can unlock 2 additional primary weapons, 1 or 2 additional secondary weapons, and/or 1 heavy weapon depending on class. Other abilities, such as armor or silent footsteps, are earned based on obtaining a certain rank in multiplayer and can be used on any class. Ribbons are earned in-game based upon a certain achievement required by the ribbon and only apply to that particular match and must be re-earned each match. The point system has also been updated where 1 kill equals 100 points, as opposed to 1 kill equaling 1 point in Killzone 2. Other updates to the point system include assist kills, destroying bots, explosive kills, objective-based points, double and triple kills and kill streaks. Players can purchase a standalone version of Killzone 3 €S multiplayer from the PlayStation Store, which includes all online multiplayer game modes, all original maps, and all DLC maps, as well as Bot Zone. Development. The game was officially unveiled to the public by Sony Computer Entertainment on May 24, 2010 through the PlayStation blog. The game was first leaked to the public on May 21, 2010 through an early release copy of the June issue of gaming magazine GamePro alongside a leaked screenshot. Rumors about a sequel to the Killzone series have been around since just shortly after the release of Killzone 2. It was not until March 20, 2010 that Sony officially confirmed that they were working on Killzone 3. President of Sony Computer Entertainment America, Jack Tretton, confirmed its development in an interview with Game Trailers, but at that point of time could not yet say when the game would be officially announced. Guerrilla's managing director, Herman Hulst, has stated Killzone 3 will use close to 100% of the PlayStation 3's power. The rumors of the intervention of Naughty Dog in the development were denied by Guerrilla. Guerrilla is working on Killzone 3 €S graphics engine all on its own, confirming Naughty Dog has no hand in its development. The first teaser trailer for the game was released on June 3, 2010 and features the new brutal melee combat system. The cinematic trailer shows Sev battling a Helghast, ending with him taking the Helghast's helmet and putting it on himself. The single-player demo reveals that this is part of the game as Sev and Rico dress as Helghast to infiltrate a Helghast facility at Stahl Arms. On June 11, 2010 on Killzone.com and the US PlayStation blog, Guerrilla Games released a pre-E3 gameplay video. Guerrilla said the gameplay video is made of gameplay footage pulled straight from the game's fourth mission called Frozen Shores. At E3 2010, it was confirmed that Killzone 3 would support the PlayStation Move and would be released in February 2011. A pre-alpha code gameplay video was also shown at E3 in 3D. A special screen was lowered and the audience had 3D glasses available to them. The E3 gameplay video featured the jetpacks as well as the player riding on a craft using a turret. Guerrilla Games game director, Marthas de Jonge, has been chatting about the merits of swearing in games, and with Killzone 3 he feels the studio have got just the right amount. In Killzone 2 we ended up with too much of it, Killzone 3 swearing a lot more impactful. He told Edge. Tommy DeRose, principal programmer at Guerrilla Games, who headed development for Move with Killzone 3, has said that he thinks most first-person shooter games will be played with motion control in a few years. Killzone 3 takes up a full dual-layer Blu-ray disc. According to Guerrilla Games, Killzone 3 a story is more light-hearted compared to its predecessor, which Guerrilla felt suffered from an overly serious and dark story, which was one of the major complaints of the original, though they mentioned that it would not be too light-hearted as it is still a war. In addition, Guerrilla Games hired an external writer to focus on only writing the storyline so as to give a fresh perspective to the story, as well as hiring a lot more Hollywood actors to elevate the level of storytelling within the dialogue of the game. Guerrilla Games also mentioned that the game's story will be an integral part of the game, with dialogue and character development being greatly improved from its predecessor. In addition, Guerrilla Games also stated that they are curtailing the swearing in Killzone 3, which many felt was unnecessary in the dialogue of Killzone 2. They mentioned that the dialogue in the game should be focused on advancing the story rather than gratuitous swearing. Beta The Killzone 3 multiplayer closed beta began on October 12, 2010 for select participants of the Killzone community. The Killzone 3 multiplayer open beta began on October 25, 2010. A limited 5,000 PlayStation Plus subscribers from SCEA and 10,000 PlayStation Plus subscribers from SCE could gain access to the beta by downloading the Killzone 3 XMB theme. Selected participants were notified by email with a redeem code to access the beta. This beta was to test gameplay only and did not support PlayStation Move or 3D capabilities. The official Twitter page for Killzone selected 300 Twitter subscribers to participate in the open beta between October 19 and October 22, 2010. On November 7, 2010, the beta was expanded, inviting 5,000 more PlayStation Plus subscribers from SCE and SCEA territories. Instead of email distribution, these redeem codes were sent out via PlayStation Network messages. This beta ended prior to the end of 2010. On January 21, 2011, it was announced that the Killzone 3 multiplayer open beta will be available for download on the PlayStation Network on February 2 in North America and February 3 in Europe through February 14, 2011. On February 1, however, it was announced that the North American open beta was delayed until February 3, and to make it up, Sony ran a sweepstakes to give away 60 Killzone 3 limited Helghast editions to US players who participated in the open beta from February 4 through February 6. The beta offered early access to the Frozen Dam multiplayer level, including all 3 online multiplayer modes, Guerrilla Warfare, Warzone and Operations, as well as the offline multiplayer mode, Boat Sun. On February 9, 2011, it was reported that over 58 million kills have been made, 10% of that being brutal melee kills, with 350,000 games already played. Due to the high response of the first Killzone 3 limited Helghast edition sweepstakes giveaway, Sony ran another sweepstakes, giving away 60 more limited Helghast editions from February 11 through February 13, 2011 in the US, with 5 Canadian participants also chosen. Demo The Killzone 3 single-player demo was released in North America on February 15 and in Europe on February 16, 2011. It's available as 2 separate downloads from the PlayStation Store, one in 2D and one in 3D. The 2D version features split-screen co-op, which is not supported in the 3D demo. Both versions of the demo are PlayStation Move-enabled and both versions of the demo take place on a modified version of the Icy Incursion level. 3D support Killzone 3 includes a mode that supports Sony's plunge into 3D gaming. The Killzone 3 3D mode is optional and requires a 3D-ready TV. The first impressions of the 3D showed some glitches. With three-dimensional visual effects, the game became blurry, imprecise, and disorienting. In alpha version, 3D sacrificed things like sharpness, speed, a feeling of orientation and a lot more aliasing. Jagged edges as well as some ghosting of interface elements are reported to occur. At E3 2010, it was revealed that Killzone 3 was built with 3D support from the ground up. In praise of the game's 3D capabilities, Game Trailers awarded the title Best 3D Graphics of E3 2010, although officially, it did not have any nominations at E3 2010. The E3 2010 trailer resolution is half the horizontal resolution of the 2D game, with the whole image scaled up using the PS3 hardware scaler and render the vision of a single eye. Release and marketing Killzone 3 was released on February 22, 2011 in North America, February 23 in Europe, and February 25 in the United Kingdom. 7-Eleven offered exclusive downloadable content for Killzone 3 in exchange for Slurpee purchases in stores in the US, which ran from February 2011 to the end of March 2011. 7-Eleven also featured Killzone 3-themed Slurpee cups, in addition to an exclusive Killzone flavor, Battle Fuel. Each Slurpee cup bore a unique code, allowing a download for Killzone 3 content, such as content for PlayStation Home, the Retro Map Pack, the Unlock and Load Pack, 2 PS3 XMB themes, a PC wallpaper, and an exclusive behind-the-scenes video. All early copies of Killzone 3 included a redeemable voucher for the SOCOM 4 multiplayer beta. Walmart hosted a midnight launch event. The first 20 players who purchased Killzone 3 received a limited edition Killzone 3 poster and a voucher for the Retro Map Pack. Select Walmart stores also hosted tournaments where players could win a copy of Killzone 3, a limited edition Cloaking Helghast marksman action figure, and collectible Killzone 3 bags. GameStop also had a midnight launch event. A limited edition Killzone 3 PlayStation 3 bundle was released on February 22, 2011 in North America, which includes a 160GB PlayStation 3 and a copy of Killzone 3. On February 28, 2012, to celebrate Killzone 3 Euro's 1-year anniversary, Guerrilla Games released a standalone version of Killzone 3 Euro's multiplayer on the PlayStation Store titled Killzone 3 Multiplayer. It includes the Guerrilla Warfare, Warzone, and Operations game modes, as well as the original Killzone 3 maps and all Killzone 3 DLC maps. Users can also try it for free until they've reached the rank of Sergeant I. Players who purchase Killzone 3 multiplayer are also granted a 24-hour double XP bonus, 3 unlock points, the ability to set up clans and custom games, and access to the Boat Sun mode, as well as the addition of 4 exclusive trophies. Retail editions alongside the standard edition of the game, there are several other versions of the game exclusive to certain countries and/or regions around the world. All of the special edition versions of the game are sold in limited quantities and contain a copy of the game as standard or special packaging. The Helghast edition is exclusive to North America, Europe and Australia. The Helghast edition for North America comes with an authentic Helghast helmet replica and a Cloaking Helghast marksman action figure. The art book is a 100-page hardbound art book featuring imagery from the Killzone universe. The Helghast edition for Europe and Australia includes all of the content of the North American version, however, the Super Voucher is replaced with the PSN Voucher and the copy of Killzone 3 is in a Steelbook Collector's Edition case. Both the Super Voucher and a PSN Voucher include all of the same content. Both vouchers include the Killzone 3 soundtrack, Killzone 3 behind the scenes, an exclusive PS3 dynamic theme, the Retro Map Pack, Reclaimed Territory, double XP for the first 24 hours of multiplayer gameplay, and full access to all weapons and abilities during the first 24 hours of multiplayer gameplay. The Collector's Edition is exclusive to Europe and Australia. The Collector's Edition of Killzone 3 came in a steel bookcase packaging, which is also included in the Killzone 3 Helghast Edition for Europe and Australia. The limited Collector's Edition was available only through pre-order. It included a PSN voucher code to access the Retro Map Pack, a Killzone 3 dynamic theme, and the Killzone 3 soundtrack. It also included another PSN voucher as a pre-order bonus, which either unlocked all weapons and abilities, gave double XP, or 3 unlock points to use on any weapon or ability. In the Netherlands, players could purchase the Collector's Edition for the price of the Standard Edition if they pre-ordered from Game Mania stores. Limited Edition, the Killzone 3 Limited Helghast Edition is not sold in stores and is exclusive to North America. Only 1,000 have been made, 125 of which were given away in the multiplayer open beta from February 4 through February 6 and February 11 through February 13, 2011. The limited Helghast Edition contains all the same elements as the retail version of the Helghast Edition, but features a replica Helghast helmet with illuminated LED eyes, simulating Helghast's unregistered trademark glowing mask. On March 10, 2011, AsidePlanet.com announced a sweepstakes that ran from March 10, 2011 through April 21, 2011. In this Killzone 3 remix contest, players could remix the track Stahl Arms Battle from the Killzone 3 soundtrack. At the end of the contest, Jurista Man chose one grand prize winner who received the Killzone 3 Limited Helghast Edition as well as Vegas Pro Software, Acid Pro Software, 20 loop libraries, and a Sony MP3 Walkman. Second place runner-ups received a copy of Killzone 3, Acid Music Studio software, and 10 loop libraries. The grand prize was won by composer-producer Christopher K. Lee under the username Blizzard1Mage. On March 24, 2011, Guerrilla announced the March for Helgen 2 sweepstakes, where they gave away 10 limited Helghast editions each day from March 25 through April 10. Players simply needed to play the Killzone 3 multiplayer for a chance to win. Pre-order bonuses The download packs contained in the Super Voucher were also available as pre-order bonuses for the standard edition of Killzone 3 from select retailers in North America. Europe and Australia did not receive pre-order bonuses from select retailers, but instead, they have the Collector's Edition which contains the pre-order bonus content of North America. GameStop offered the Guerrilla Pack, which contained a voucher unlocking all multiplayer weapons and abilities for the first 24 hours of multiplayer gameplay. Best Buy offered the Fast Starter Pack, which contained a voucher allowing players to rank up faster as they earn double XP for the first 24 hours of multiplayer gameplay. Amazon.com offered the Unlock and Load Pack, which contained a voucher allowing instant access to 3 unlock points to use on the weapon or ability of the player's choice. If players pre-ordered Killzone 3 from Amazon.com via PlayStation Home, they also received an exclusive Helghast jetpacks for their home avatar in addition to the Unlock and Load Pack. GameStop, Best Buy, and Amazon.com each offered the Retro Map Pack with their respective pre-order bonus. Other participating retailers offered the Retro Map Pack and the Killzone 3 Picoseconds 3 dynamic theme. PlayStation Home From January 27, 2011 until February 24, 2011, in the PlayStation 3's social gaming network PlayStation Home, the Central Plaza was redesigned as the last remaining ISA stronghold in celebration of Killzone 3. There was a mini-game in the Central Plaza called Killzone Plaza Defender, which was a Killzone-themed first-person shooter minigame where players shoot down enemy Helghast airships, ground vehicles, and infantry units or assist gunners by collecting and delivering ammunition, repair kits, and first aid. The mini-game had 3 waves for users to complete, each with 3 challenges with an unlockable ISA uniform for the user's home avatar. Completing all of the challenges for all 3 waves granted 3 unlock points, which could be redeemed for new weapons and abilities in the Killzone 3 multiplayer. Users could also pre-order Killzone 3 from Amazon.com at a special kiosk in the Central Plaza. Pre-ordering by this means granted users an exclusive Hellghast jetpacks for their home avatar in addition to the other pre-order bonus from Amazon.com. In addition, users could also obtain a Hellghast Capture Trooper and Jason Marvel ISA costume for their home avatar as well as a Slurpee machine for their personal spaces from the 7-Eleven promotion for 2 Slurpee points each. In the PlayStation 3 exclusive Little Big Planet 2, a Killzone 3 mini-pack was released as DLC on July 12, 2011. This pack includes costumes for players to dress their Sackboy like a Killzone 3 character. On November 15, 2011, in the PlayStation 3 exclusive Uncharted 3, Drake's Deception, a DLC pack was released titled Multiplayer Accessory Pack No. 1, which includes the Capture Trooper skin, a Hellghast helmet, and an ISA helmet, which can also be purchased individually. Downloadable content. The first downloadable content for Killzone 3 is the Retro Map Pack, Reclaimed Territory, which consists of 2 of the most popular maps from Killzone 2. The maps are the Salomon Market and Blood-Cracked maps, which have been updated for Killzone 3. Salomon Market features the Warzone game mode while Blood-Cracked features the Guerrilla Warfare game mode. This pack was made available to purchase from the PlayStation Network on February 22, 2011. The map pack was also available as a pre-order bonus from various retailers and could be obtained from 7-Eleven's promotion of Killzone 3 for 10 Slurpee rewards points. It was also included in the Hellghast edition. The map pack includes 7 trophies. 2 map-specific trophies for each map respectively, and 3 non-map specific trophies. Edge and Skick are offering specially packaged shaving gel and razors for 3 PS3 exclusives. Gran Turismo 5, Infamous 2, and Killzone 3. The special Killzone 3 packages include a redeemable voucher for the Retro Map Pack or 3 unlock points. On February 24, 2011, the second DLC map pack, Steel Rain, was announced. Steel Rain features the maps Junkyard and Stahl Arms, which feature the game modes Guerrilla Warfare and Warzone respectively. Junkyard also features both the Exos and jetpacks, and Stahl Arms features a placement for a minigun to be constructed by the engineer. Steel Rain was released in Europe on April 6, 2011 and in North America on April 12, 2011. This map pack includes 7 trophies, 2 map-specific trophies for each map respectively, and 3 non-map specific trophies. A third map pack, titled From the Ashes, was announced on June 17, 2011 and includes 4 maps, 2 new maps and 2 retro maps. Lent Missile Base is a Warzone map that features a missile launch environmental hazard, similar to the nuclear explosion from the Killzone 2 DLC map Southern Hills. Mobile Factory is a guerrilla warfare map set on the Mobile Factory from the campaign with scrap metal shredders below the base, and also features 2 portable miniguns. From the Ashes also features Raid Academy, and Tharsis Depot from Killzone 2, and was released on June 21, 2011 for $4.99 USD. This map pack includes 13 trophies, 2 map-specific trophies for each map respectively and 5 non-map specific trophies. Simultaneously announced and released with the third DLC map pack is the Killzone 3 map pack bundle featuring all 3 DLC map packs for $9.99 USD. A triple XP weekend was hosted the weekend of June 24 to Euro 27 to celebrate the release of From the Ashes, and the map pack bundle. There have also been 3 double XP weekends. The first 2 double XP weekends were for the return of PSN from the PSN outage, the first for Europe and North America's return and the second for Japan's return, and the third was for Killzone 3 Euro's 1-year anniversary. Soundtrack. Like Killzone 2, the soundtrack for Killzone 3 was composed by Jiris Man. It was released both as downloadable content via the Killzone 3 Hellghast Edition and Collector's Edition, and as a standalone digital release, on February 22, 2011. Later, It was released to purchase on the PlayStation Network on March 8, 2011. Novel. On March 30, 2011, it was announced that a novelization of Killzone 3, titled Killzone: Ascendancy and written by Sam Bradbury, is available from Penguin Books in paperback format and from Amazon.com in Kindle format. According to the PlayStation blog post, the author delved deep into the game's story to answer questions about the game, such as what drives Sev and Rico's actions. Reception. Killzone 3 received positive reviews and has a game ranking score of 86.38% based on 63 reviews, and a score of 84 out of 100 on Metacritic based on 85 reviews. The first English review of the game was published by PlayStation Official magazine, which gave the game a 9/10. The review stated, on a visual level, as a 3D breakthrough, this feels like a watershed moment in a revolution affecting all of gaming. The review also stated on gameplay terms, Black Ops is the only, first-person shooter on PlayStation 3 that can match this. The voice acting, however, was criticized as not being perfect, thus lacking emotive punch, and the reason for not receiving a perfect 10/10. IGN gave the game an 8.5, praising the atmosphere, graphics and multiplayer. Destructoid gave the game a perfect 10/10, with reviewer Jim Sterling stating, "I don't think the PlayStation 3 has ever had quite such a rounded, satisfactory package as this, with this level of polish, refinement and pure, simple, unpretentious action." PlayStation Lifestyle awarded it a 10/10 as well, calling the game the ultimate ending to a new form of sci-fi epic. Games TM was generally positive and gave the game 7/10, although was critical over the storyline and when comparing it to Killzone 2 said the game takes inexplicable backward steps in almost every department. Game Informer, who scored the game a 9/10, however praised the story saying, Killzone 3's shocking and abrupt campaign ending serves as a suitable wrap to Guerrilla unregistered trademark's extended war-themed trilogy. Even if it is a conclusion of sorts, Killzone 3 stands on its own. They also praised its intuitive use of the PlayStation Move as an optional controller. Sequel. Before Killzone 3 Euro's release, Guerrilla Games already had a lot of ideas for the next installment. In an interview with PlayStation Official magazine, Marthas de Junge said, "We're looking at new projects, there's a lot of ideas already floating around the company to put in a new Killzone." On November 18, 2011, Edge reported that Guerrilla Games is making a new Killzone game. Killzone 2 and 3 senior producer Stephen Terrace Hyde is reportedly game director. Guerrilla studio recruiter Adrian Smith is quoted as saying, "We've got to continue the Killzone franchise." Earlier in the week Edge reported that one of Sony's studios had stopped PlayStation 3 development and moved on to its successor. The unnamed developer is also apparently involved in building the graphics technology for Sony's next system. Alongside Killzone, the studio is also working on a new IP, Edge reported, led by former Killzone game director Marthas de Junge. On February 20, 2013, a sequel, Killzone Shadow Fall, was shown at the PlayStation Meeting 2013, announcing the PlayStation 4 with Shadow Fall as a launch title. References. External links, official Killzone website, Killzone 3 on US PlayStation official website, Guerrilla Games official website.